I mean, this is not the way to exit Afghanistan. Did anybody think this through?
You know, it's okay to differ. And, you know, I wrote an op-ed when President Trump and General James Mattis were at odds, because these are two men that I had faith in and I believe led in their own way and did so for the right reason. See, it's okay to disagree about how we're going to do something, but when we as the American people start questioning why, what your intent is, that's when it matters. I don't know how you can be the President of the United States that was 8 years the Vice President during the time when you sent me to leave pounds of flesh in this country in 2010. You know, I don't know how you can be taken by surprise by what the Taliban is doing. How did the President of the United States have more faith in the Afghan security force than I did as a boot on the ground? I spent every day with those men. I know what they're capable of, and more importantly, I know what they're not capable of. And I know the politics and the culture of that region does not allow for a national identity or pride, and it definitely doesn't allow for an indoctrination into a military to go and fight it out, and we're seeing it happen right now. These men are having to choose between the safety of their own family and fighting in a security force that may not be there tomorrow. Of course, they're going to lay down their weapon and walk away at some point. There's no reason or indoctrination to keep them there. How does the president get surprised by that? But I and the 14 Marine EOD techs who have seen everything you just read about, how come the 15 of us in my group text all laughed and said we knew this was going to happen and been saying it for weeks now? That's what I want to know the answer to, and Joe Biden owes me that answer.
You're damn right he owes you that answer, Joey. I mean, you left a piece of yourself overseas. You're damn right you're entitled to an answer. You know, I have friends of mine who communicate with me often. I only spent 3 weeks in Afghanistan, but I was in Kabul. I've been in the embassy. I've been in Bagram. Why this speedy evacuation of Bagram, and why this expectation that the embassy wouldn't fall? Joey, my friends told me there's a difference between Iraq and Afghanistan. For as awful as the Iraqi army was under Saddam Hussein, there was some sense of order, however corrupted it was. The Afghan national military, there's no sense of what an Afghanistan even is. There's a lot of tribal allegiances. This is a different situation. Expecting them to defend a country when a lot of the Afghan people are loyal to the tribe rather than a sense of what we have of Afghanistan, it was just strategically inept.
The country is regionally split, so the idea that it's a monolith in any way is preposterous, and we've known that for the 20 years we've been there. The Pashtun the Pashtun way of life, has been there longer than Islam, and it's vastly different than other regions of Afghanistan. And those two groups of people are never going to feel a shared culture the way that people in California and New York may. It's just a different culture. It doesn't make it good or bad, but their warlord type leadership is what they're used to, and it's not our job to fix that. It was our job at some point, and we failed miserably at it, to show the next generation of Afghanistan that there was something better than the Taliban. There was an option better. It may not be democracy, and it may not be what we believe in, and it probably wasn't the corruption that is the Afghan government, but it was just to show them an opportunity that there was something better than the Taliban. We failed at that. We accept that. But if we're going to leave, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm not in a position high enough to have that definitively in my head of what we should do, but I know what we shouldn't do. We shouldn't leave in a way that puts more Americans at risk. That's all I ask. That's all any of us could ask, is to have a strategy and an exit plan that does not put more Americans at risk, because that was the only promise we made when we went there. To kill the people that killed us and make sure they couldn't do it again. This idea of democracy in the Middle East or making life better for the women and children of Afghanistan, hey, I've sacrificed my body for that opportunity for them to have that, but that wasn't the creed we made. That wasn't the promise I made. That wasn't why I raised my right hand and went there. And we've allowed our politicians to lie and mold and cheat and steal, and to go from midterm to presidential election and change the goalpost and change the narrative, and perhaps allow the generals to do it too so they could make a career and become famous. I don't know. But all we promised was to make sure that 9/11 didn't happen again, and to make sure the Taliban and Al-Qaeda didn't have a place to grow and plan the next attack. And you can't tell me that tomorrow we're in a better place. And if you're President of the United States, you have to look at that in the face and say, how do I prevent our country from being susceptible to attack? And how do I help the people, the Americans that are still in that country, leave without being attacked in the meantime? My biggest concern right now is what happens if an American dies in this exit? What happens if the Taliban target in any specific way American citizens or troops? What is the next step? It'd be hard to believe there wouldn't be a huge call to go right back to war. It'd be hard to believe Joe Biden doesn't see that coming.
You know, Joey, I just want to thank you again on behalf of me, my family, and I know I speak for my friends as well. You know, what you did for this country, it's an unimaginable sacrifice. Thankfully, unimaginable to people who have their freedom because of people like you. You're a real warrior, man. Thanks for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you. There's hundreds of thousands just like me.
Thank you, sir.